Sup, dicks? It's a Blue Drake, and today we're going to be talking about Battalion 1944. And why are we talking about this game? Well, you guys have been asking me to talk about it. I've been getting lots of messages. Everybody's telling me, oh, have you heard of Battalion 1944? It's a new World War II shooter. So let's get that out of the way first before everybody's like, Blue Drake, why are you talking about this game? Because you all wanted me to talk about it. This is a place for Blue Drake to put out Blue Drake and not I don't know, somebody else. like when we did The Division and they were like, why are you talking about The Division? Because I'm me and people wanted me to talk about it. Like, okay, so here is Blue Drake on Battalion 1944. Nobody else. Blue Drake on 1944. So lots of messages. Have you heard of this game? Have you seen this game? This game is actually blowing up, which is really impressive, and I'm really excited to show off this game because I know one of the developers, Joe Brammer, really cool guy. We play Project Reality every so often. We also used to play Red Orchestra, Darkest Hour, which I love. And a while ago, they told me about their new game that was coming out, which was Battalion 1944. So yes, I did know about this game. I probably knew about it before you, because I'm fucking hipster as shit. Yeah. Go get me my craft beer. I want some. Dude, no joke. I actually drink craft beer. I'm about that shit. But anyways, Battalion 1944, we talked a lot about the future of the game, the type of game it was going to be. We talked about what it was going to be built on, the strategies that they wanted to emphasize, and the kind of style that they wanted to emphasize. And one of the biggest things that they brought up is that their team is from the era of like Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Battlefield 1942, etc. So when I first saw this game, I thought it was going to be something kind of more similar to like Red Orchestra 2. After seeing the gameplay footage, it looks like it's going to be considerably closer to like Call of Duty and Medal of Honor multiplayer, even though I never really played all that much Medal of Honor or Call of Duty, to be fair. So let's just get this out of the way first. I'm really excited that their project is blowing up. They are getting a lot of funding. They are obviously going to be successful. They're incredibly professional. They have a great public relations and media rollout. You can see everything that there's going to be, their game is going to be. They're very transparent. They have a great development plan and a great roadmap that I think is not only achievable, but they're already at a point where you can see the progress they've made. Kind of like Squad, where even though the game isn't where it's going to be, you can see that they've made enough progress and they have enough of a proof of concept build that they will be successful. And that's important. That is important in a project, and I think that this game is going to be great. With that said, with all of that said, after seeing this game and after seeing all of the gameplay, I do not think it's going to be something that I personally enjoy. I can show you some of the gameplay. You can go take a look at the Kickstarter project yourself, but this game is going to be very fast-paced. It's going to be kind of like cramped level design, which isn't necessarily bad. That's just the way it's going to be. Even games like Red Orchestra 2, which are considered like tactical games, I have trouble getting into because of the cramped level design, and because it feels really spammy. So to continue moving in that direction, not that it's the wrong direction to move in, I don't think that that's something that I'm going to be able to get behind. Now, I still think that these guys obviously know their market. They know something I don't, and that is important in a game like this. They obviously have a niche audience. They obviously completely understand that niche audience, and that audience really wants this game to come true, which is why it's getting hella funding, which is really great. And I think they absolutely deserve that, and I am really excited to see where this game goes. But let's take a look at some of the gameplay footage that they sent me, and we can see how the game flows and see how the game plays. And honestly, you'll probably be able to make your own decision based off of watching this. All of this footage is in game, and I've got to say, of course, it is a really pretty game. Even compared to something like Squad, I think these guys really have a great understanding of the engine that they're working in, and they're able to pull some really gorgeous visuals out of it, even more so than other indie games that I've seen. So as you can see, that kind of stuff right there. In this game, you're going to have a lot of moments where you're just going to have clutch people just running around a corner and just twitch shooting you. I think this game is going to be much more based off of reaction fire and much more focused on, I guess, aim control, and just kind of like your mouse skills. As opposed to positioning. That may not be true. Again, this is an early prototype. Who knows where it's going to go? It's kind of giving me a Heroes and Generals vibe, but Heroes and Generals is a much larger scale game, which means even if the infantry combat is fast-paced, there's so much breathing room that it kind of balances out. Whereas this is going to be so much focused combat and so close quarters, and your movement is going to be so fast, and your the way the weapons actually react and the way they control is going to focus the game to be much more reactionary. So when I say fast-paced, I think people have this idea, like I'm again, I always say this, like, everybody thinks that I'm a tactical gamer. I don't like to think of myself as a tactical gamer. For those of you who've been watching me for a long time, you know that we have a very kind of specific desire for games. Look at Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege is fast-paced, but Rainbow Six Siege still appeals to our community. It is fast-paced, and the rounds end quickly, but it still is very strategic. It's much more based off of positioning and other elements outside of how you control your weapon. And those are the kinds of things that our community enjoys. We like tight player versus player competitive matches that are based off of strategic placement and coordination with your other teammates, not necessarily to put yourself in a position where, oh, I can just, like, you know, headshot that guy from forever away, and like this guy just came around the corner and I can just reactionarily just move over to him really quick and just twitch shot him in the chest. It's more about, oh, I'm going to lock down this corridor with a machine gun so my guys can move over to the right and then lock down the second corridor so I can move up. Or we're going to set like a trap for these guys so they move into our lane of fire and they don't know where we are. Those kinds of things. And I'm not sure if those kinds of gameplay mechanics are going to be in this game. Now, it is something I had talked to their developer Joe about. We talked about potentially having different classes that are much more based on positioning as opposed to just making really great shots. For instance, we talked specifically about like the machine gun class. It would be really interesting if the machine gun class was considerably more restricted in movement, but could set up and really lock down a lane of fire, as opposed to something like Insurgency. When you look at the Insurgency mod, Day of Infamy, the machine gun is more or less just a glorified rifle that you can also deploy. And those are the kinds of things that I'm kind of afraid of for this game, that aren't necessarily, again, not wrong. They're not wrong. It's just not the kind of things I would personally want to see in a game. And then to tie this all back, everybody's going to be like, well, then why are you talking about the game? Because this game is something that everybody's been asking me about. So that's why. All right, so if you are interested in checking out Battalion 1944, I will link their Kickstarter, and you can go hopefully become a backer if this is the kind of game that you're into. Besides that, I am really excited for them. I think that this game is going to be very much successful. They obviously have a great understanding of the people who do play their game. They obviously have a great understanding of the engine that they're working in. One of the biggest parallels that I think I can draw to this game right now is in its current state, it looks very similar to how Insurgency did in its pre-alpha state or alpha state when it first came out on Steam as an early access title. And I have to say, when I first played Insurgency for its early access series, I had the exact same opinion of it. I thought that the map design was way too cramped. I thought that it was not strategic enough. I didn't think positioning mattered enough. It didn't feel like it had as much depth. And since then, I think they've really pushed in the opposite direction, and they've retained that fast-paced gameplay, but they've also put in a lot more elements of positioning, of putting yourself with strategy, meaning more than reactionary fire. Not that reactionary fire isn't important, but I think Insurgency has really struck a great balance between the two. And that is something I could totally see coming from Battalion 1944. Right now, it's kind of more of proof of concept. They're obviously moving towards the more fast-paced Call of Duty, Medal of Honor style gameplay, but that's not to say that in the future, past this, they might be able to refine that to have a lot more depth and to have a lot more... I want to stop saying strategy, but... strategy. I'll think of a better word in the near future. But that's more or less as much as I know about the game right now. Obviously, I can talk to Joe as things go on and as development changes. So if I hear anything new or anything different, or if there is a playable build that becomes available, I'll be sure to let you guys know. I remember asking them about having a playable build to show you. I don't think they're ready for that yet, which is completely understandable because the game is not at a state where that should be expected. But hopefully they will have something out, hopefully soon, if not immediately after the Kickstarter. I'm not entirely sure what their rewards are, but that could potentially, it looks like that is something that could happen, seeing how well polished their build is already. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and if you want me to talk about anything else, feel free to message me or, God, even text me or anything, and I'll be sure to talk about it, because I know there's a lot of games coming out and there's a lot of things that you guys like me talking about, which is great, and I love talking about it, but I really do appreciate you doing the research and finding new things and kind of like gauging what your interest is on what you want me to discuss and what you want me to showcase. So keep letting me know that, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Love you. Bye!